Scotland, but it should tend to ease and it won't be as heavy or as persistent. A few scattered showers elsewhere, but for many Sundays, a fine-looking day, dry and bright with some sunny spells. The winds will be lighter as well, and it'll probably just feel a little bit warmer. Please see the Met Office website for the latest warnings.
Who is it?
We're here for the show.
More energy this time!
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie.
Second best.
You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these three.
Ah!
No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sunday, the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
What you get for breakfast is something that, if we do our jobs right, you will wake up to news that you didn't know the night before.
It's a conversation. It's not just me and Eamon.
We want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us.
From 6, it's Breakfast with Eamon and Isabel.
Monday to Thursdays on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christys, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christys, on GB News and GB News Radio.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it.
Headliners. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper. We've got it covered for you. Every night at 11 p.m. and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there.
So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Your Friday night starts here on Britain's favourite news channel. Pour yourself a drink, grab yourself some nuts, do whatever, and strap yourselves in for a fantastic Friday night show. First off, Rishi Sunak got the kind of spanking that you normally have to pay for in Soho at 2 different by-elections. We're going to have a little look, aren't we, as to whether or not Rishi Sunak would get your vote of no confidence. But it was a good night for Labour, like this tweet.
I and we have been really humbled by how seriously people have taken this election, this opportunity to do something different, this chance to make sure we finally have an MP in Parliament who's going to be on our side. And I think it's fair to say that after today, no one is going to be taking us for granted here in Bedfordshire ever again.
OK, then we're going to take you into the spin room where good stories turn bad and bad stories turn good. Like why it's a good thing that bonfire night has been cancelled, and is it all bad if kids are out there dealing drugs? But yes, it's not just the spin room, we're also going to be having a little look, aren't we, at some of the best clips from social media so far this week, including Joe Biden and a flying nun. All right, I'll see you the other side of the wonderful Ray Addison.
Good evening. It's just after 8 o'clock. I'm Ray Addison in the GB newsroom, and we start with some breaking news this hour. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has confirmed the release of 2 hostages who were being held by Hamas. Judith and Natalie Renan are now on their way to a military base in central Israel. Earlier, Israeli military sources gave more information about the estimated 200 hostages taken by the terrorist organisation. They say 30 are teenagers and young children, and 20 are over the age of 60. The majority are still alive. The Prime Minister has praised Egypt for its efforts in trying to deliver aid to civilians in Gaza. After meeting the country's president, Rishi Sunak said Palestinians are also victims of Hamas and expressed his condolences for the loss of lives. He also stressed the importance of opening a safe corridor to Gaza.
Prioritised consistently is getting the Rafah crossing opening. It's been a feature of all my conversations, and I'm very pleased that that will now imminently happen. We announced an increase in our funding for humanitarian aid into the region, and when I met with President Sisi earlier today, he and I had a good discussion about how the UK can provide practical assistance on the ground to ensure the sustainability of that aid through the crossing to the people who need it.
Well, back here, Sir Keir Starmer says former Tory voters have put their trust and their confidence in the Labour Party after they overturned Conservative majorities to win 2 by-elections. Now, the video we're about to show you contains some flash photography. In Tamworth, Sarah Edwards overturned a Conservative majority of more than 19,000. Meanwhile, Alastair Strepham took mid-Bedfordshire with 20.5% swing. That's the largest Labour by-election win since 1945. Keir Starmer says it's history in the making.
Huge victories. Either of these results would have been extraordinary. Both together they are historic. These are seats that we've never won before, or rarely won before, and we've had swings of over 20%, and we've now had 4 by-elections with swings of over 20% if you take Selby and Rutherglen as well. So, you know, that is a very, very important investing of confidence and trust in a changed Labour Party.
And West Mercia Police says a man in his 60s has died after getting caught in fast-flowing floodwater in Shropshire. He's believed to be the 3rd fatality as Storm Babette continues to cause severe weather conditions. This afternoon, a passenger plane came off the runway at Leeds Bradford Airport while landing in those windy conditions. However, there were no reported injuries. The Met Office earlier issued a 24-hour red weather warning in central and north-east Scotland as further heavy rainfall is expected. This is GB News across the UK on TV, in your car, on digital radio and on your smart speaker by saying, play GB News. Now let's get back to Patrick.
Welcome along to Friday Night with me, Patrick Christys. Let's get straight into it, shall we? And we start tonight with the results from the Tamworth and Mid-Bedfordshire by-elections, but don't worry, we'll try to make this remotely interesting for you. There were big Tory majorities in both of those seats, but here's what happened in Tamworth.
Edwards, Sarah Sienna, Labour Party, 11,719 votes.
Well, it's the most success any of those politicians have ever had in a sports hall, isn't it? And Mid-Bedfordshire now, a similar tale.
Strathern, Alistair Luke, Labour Party, 13,872.
Yeah, interesting outfit that chap was wearing there. But it does seem like the Tories are set for electoral oblivion. But can they somehow avoid that humiliation? Is it time for the drastic measure of replacing Prime Minister Rishi Sunak? Well, here to answer this, I'm delighted to be joined by the former Conservative MP for Tiverton and Honiton, Neil Parish, and Dennis McShane, who, of course, is the former Labour Minister for Europe. Fantastic. Chaps, the only time I ever thought I would spend a Friday night with you two would be trapped in the same prison cell, but here we go. Anyway, Neil, I will start with you then. Is it time to get rid of Rishi Sunak if the Tories want any chance of winning the next election?
Well, I think that would be, Patrick would be completely suicidal if they went that path. But I think they have a hell of a challenge. They're interesting two results, really, because in Tamworth, the Liberal Democrat vote all but disappeared, and the Labour Party squeezed that and won. Reform also was about the same as the majority that the Labour Party. They got about the same votes as the Labour Party got majority. And of course, in Mid Bedfordshire, it was a three-way split where the Liberal Democrats became a strong third, but still Reform had as many votes as the Labour majority. So I think the trouble is the Tory party is being attacked on all fronts, basically. It's
Okay.
attacked.
All right, Dennis.
Being attacked by Reform, and so I think it's a hell of a battle to go. But I think changing the Prime Minister will not change the difference, because I think it's the Tory party that is so out of favour at the moment.
Okay, all right. So Neil's keeping Rishi Sunak. Dennis, do you think that the only chance the Tories have got is to ditch Sunak?
I don't think it'll make any difference. It's the Tory party in totality. It is Liz Truss. It's Boris Johnson. Do you remember the person before him, somebody called Theresa May? She was one of the worst prime ministers we ever had. And the Tories have doubled down on not very impressive people and keep producing policies that really annoy everybody. I really feel sorry for Rishi Sunak. I was there in the last death watch year for John Major and then the last death watch year for Gordon Brown. It is horrible to be Prime Minister when you know you're not going to be there in 6 months, 9 months. Personally, I just wonder if he shouldn't just get the agony over with and have an election.
So you think he should essentially, take that political cyanide pill, as it were, and just call a general election. Neil, the answer does appear to be staring him in the face there, which is to maybe behave like a Conservative. And dare I say it, does this not prove yet again why it was silly to get rid of Boris Johnson and then also Liz Truss? At least the members voted for her. You've just replaced her with a posh billionaire and, now you're going to lose.
Well, I mean, I think the by-elections that happened under Boris were equally lost by, big majorities were lost. And the seats were, by-elections were lost to the Tories by the Tories. So I don't think that makes a huge amount of difference. I think what is interesting about the whole thing, Patrick, is this 30% of people that are not voting in the by-elections that will be voting in the general election. Now, how many of those are Tories? Some of them are. Are there enough? Probably not, but I'm still not convinced that we're in for the hammering that some of the pundits go for. I think we will lose the general election, but whether, today on the Today programme, they were saying we're going to lose it worse than in '97. I think probably not.
Well, you know what? It would be incredibly bleak if that happened. Yeah, it would be incredibly bleak if that happened, Neil, because at least in 1997 they had a personality in the shape of Tony Blair. I mean, I happen to think that personality resembles something that you absolutely cannot flush, but a personality nonetheless, OK? Now, Keir Starmer, he's like the occasional table of politicians, isn't he? He's kind of the human equivalent of going curtain shopping on a wet weekend in Slough, right? If that guy wins the kind of stonking landslide that Tony Blair did, it is a damning indictment, Dennis, of where we are in Britain's political landscape.
I think you're so wrong, if I may say so, Patrick. You're a great TV personality, and the Tory party has had all these ridiculous outsized personalities in recent years, and people just want a straight, rather boring.
No, they don't.
What you see is what you get. Who just gets on bit by bit with repairing the great broken Britain we're living in at the moment. And I think that's exactly our secret weapon. He's not your super duper exciting guy flashing fireworks. He's just an honest joke.
I mean, there is a joke, surely, about the thing that you can roll in glitter after his conference speech, but we won't make it. Chaps, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Friday night. Thank you for kickstarting ours. We do have there Neil Parish, the former Conservative MP, and Dennis McShane, the former Labour Minister for Europe. Well, now it's time to meet my brilliant panel this evening. I've got author and broadcaster Jenny Trent Hughes, brilliant comedian Diane Spencer, and also something of a comedian, as well, although not a professional one. It's Aidan McGee. Thank you very much. Great to have you all on the show. Thank you for giving up your Friday night to be here. Jenny, I'll start with you. Right, do you think that they should just ditch Sunak, get it over with, go for someone more bombastic and hope that they win the election for them?
I think that idea is borderline ridiculous.
Right.
Not
coming from me, you mean?
I agree with Jenny.
OK. Come on. Well, is it more ridiculous than just accepting defeat? Because that's what's happening.
OK, so first of all, the opera is never over until the fat lady sings.
Right.
So we still have a way to go for elections. But what's wrong now is that we have a situation where we're voting against something rather than for something.
Yeah.
And that never works, because that's how Trump won. Trump won because, love him or loathe him, he stood for something.
Yeah.
And so people voted for the something that he stood for.
Yeah.
Boris did that. Boris won because he stood for something. Love him or loathe him, people voted for something. We have Keir, we have Rishi, and we can't figure out what either of them stands for.
Both pretending to be something that they're not, right? You've got Keir Starmer, who tried to get Jeremy Corbyn elected twice, and now he's coming out and trying to be essentially Tory light. And you've got Rishi Sunak, who by all accounts privately is actually pretty right-wing, who's trying to not be right-wing. It's pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that you're looking at this... you've got to look at the minds of the people in Bedford and Tamworth.
Oh, God.
Cast your minds to these localities. You have people in Bedford who had Nadine Dorries. They had to deal with her. She was off in the jungle half the time when she should have been fixing things. And then we've got overcrowding in prisons. You've got HMP Bedford. So they're also sort of quite close to London. There's a lot of commuters there. They'll be annoyed at you, Les. There's a lot of things that are going on in their minds, right? So Tamworth, they have absolutely fabulous kebabs. Well done, gang.
A breed of piglets as well, called the Tamworth Piglet, which is notorious for being a slightly auburn colour, but carry on.
No way.
They are. Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice. But Tamworth, no, that's all right. They had Chris Pincher, Bottom Pincher, the guy who groped people, so that leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
Pincher by name, Pincher by nature, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Do I at some point have to say allegedly, or are we all right there? Carry on, I think. Allegedly.
Well,
why not?
he was the reason...
Just in case, allegedly. Right, crack on.
He's one of the people that helped topple Boris Johnson because Boris Johnson didn't handle it properly. So there's a lot of... So there's a lot of issues there. And also, because they're near Birmingham, HS2.
Yes.
So you've got to get into the mind of the people. I think this is definitely... They've just had enough of the 13 years of Tory rule, and Jenny's right, they're voting against it.
All right, Aidan, your views on all of this. Do you think it's time for the kind of revolutionary change that this country craves, which is just to, smash it all down and build it back better?
Probably, yeah, but it won't happen before the next election. We're also in danger of dismissing this, or Tories are, as mid-term blues. I mean, you had people, some of their representatives out this morning on social media talking about how actually people didn't come out to vote. Well, what's going to entice them out to vote? These aren't mid-term blues because we're going to be about 11 months away from an election. Your point about Boris is a stellar one, because they were winning by-elections under Boris Johnson. The Tories were back in Hartlepool in May 2021, for example. They started losing them now, and that tells you exactly where they are. In terms of breaking the whole thing down and building it back up, I don't see any calibre of people, of personalities in that Tory party who can take over. I think back to the Labour government, or the Labour shadow bench back in 1997, there was calibre there. There were people there who were ready for government. The current lot, I don't believe, are ready for government. They might just take office by default.
Can I ask each of you a quick question now? Do you think it should be illegal not to vote? Because I'm sick of these turnouts, right? Hear me out on this. These turnouts come out and go, well, so we've now got a whopping great big shift in the vote, right, with like 34% of the people in wherever it was, Tamworth or mid-Bedfordshire, coming and voting. Like, do you think that people should be made to vote? I think in Australia...
Absolutely.
There we go.
In Australia, it is. It's something that I feel very strongly about. I think that people should be made to vote. And then the other people who really need to get put on the naughty step are the people who write Mickey Mouse and, all sorts of nonsense, spoiling their ballot papers. I think that absolutely should be stopped.
OK, all right. By the way, just a quick reminder for everybody who's watching and listening to this, I was asking you in a poll that you can take part in now on Twitter, at GBNews, whether or not you would give Rishi Sunak a vote of no confidence. But I'll come back over to you now. Well, do you think people should be made to vote?
Do you know what? That's a tricky one. I would say that... As a woman, because we had to fight for our right to vote, I take every opportunity I can to vote. And I mean, the problem is we need sort of to attach collars to people, so if they don't vote and they start complaining, they get zapped.
Zap 'em.
You see? Taser collars.
Absolutely. I mean, Aidan, you're a massive believer. You're a massive believer in women's rights, and presumably for you, you think that everyone should vote?
No, I haven't voted since 2005, actually.
What?
I'm quite proud of...
You're joking.
I'm quite proud. No, absolutely not. I've deliberately... I chose... I think one night I was watching... What was that programme with Hyacinth's Bouquet in it?
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh.
Keeping Up Appearances.
Yeah, that's right. I was watching that one night on UK Gold and I forgot the election was on, so that was one reason. But no, I've never voted since 2005 and I'm very, very proud of that. I cannot endorse any of the nonsense we've had in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you also... Some would say, Aidan, you lose the right to criticise.
Sorry?
I'm speechless.
I'm gobsmacked.
It's my right not to vote. What about... Why would you put your cross next to someone you didn't believe in? There is no excuse for that whatsoever.
I like the fact that people normally go, you know, like, my granddad went over the top of the Somme to fight for your right to vote. Aidan's just come out and gone, my granddad died for my right not to vote.
Yeah, but he did.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I don't know what he died of, but, yeah, but, you know, that might be one of the things he died for.
There we go. Right, fantastic. Well, we're off to a flyer, so still to come tonight. That was, believe it or not, the only remotely serious bit of this show. You've not got over that we're doing, right? So, and it was already so. We've got one panellist with their head in their hat and somebody else speechless. Aidan McGee getting somehow more tanned by the second. And still to come tonight, all the best local news stories in round your parts, plus our brilliant, groundbreaking, completely revolutionary missing words quiz. No one's ever done this before. They'll never do it again. But next, it's the Spin Room, where I ask my panellists to take an apparently bad news story and try to put a positive spin on it. Then we rate their efforts. We'll reveal why drug dealing should be glamorised. We don't actually, as a channel, endorse this. Should be glamorised, and why bonfire night must be cancelled. Patrick Christys, GB News, Britain's news channel.
Who is it? We're here for the show.
More energy this time.
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie. Second best. You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with you three.
Oh!
No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sunday, the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
What you get for breakfast is something that, if we do our jobs right, you will wake up to news that you didn't know the night before.
It's a conversation. It's not just me and Eamon.
We want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us. From 6, it's Breakfast with Eamon and Isabel.
Monday to Thursdays on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christys, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christys, on GB News and GB News Radio.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you.
Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it.
Headliners. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper. We've got it covered for you. every night at 11 p.m. and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there.
So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. You're watching or listening to me, Patrick Christys, on GB News. It has, yes, just gone 8:20. Loads to come tonight, including the news that Hull has become an unlikely holiday hotspot and a flying nun features in the best viral videos of the week. And, of course, we asked you on Twitter if you would submit your vote of no confidence to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak if you had the chance. We will reveal the results later on at GB News. Take part in that poll. But it's time that myself and my panel entered the spin room. Yes, it's the place where seemingly bad stories turn good, or with the help of a little bit of spin. Up first, well, it's back to those by-elections. Now, look, let's face it, it seems a large swathe of the population considers these results to be very, very good news. Labour have captured Tamworth and Mid-Bedfordshire and seem to be on course for an election landslide. But if you are a Tory supporter, there's no way that you can possibly portray these results as anything other than a cataclysmic disaster leading to certain electoral defeat and a minimum of 20 years in the political wilderness. Or is there? Broadcaster and author Jenny Trent-Hughes, how are you going to spin this one?
OK. First of all, it's not a cataclysmic disaster. Like I said before, the Fat Lady has not sang, so the opera is not over. But it's going to involve a huge amount of honesty. So, people who voted for the Tories last time, why did they do it? What did they expect to get out of it? And what do they now want going forwards? Also, Labour. What is it about Labour that the Tories do better? So, in other words, if you think about it like a marketing meeting for a product, how are we going to sell this product? And that's going to involve honesty. We all need to be honest if we're selling Labour or if we're selling the Tories. It is not a disaster, but we have to rewrite the programme.
So I suppose the spin there will be this could be a seismic moment in British political history where some politicians decide to be honest about what they stand for and what they want.
Who ever thought that Trump could get elected? A lot of people didn't think that Boris could get elected, but they did. There's two people who a lot of people don't like, but they knew what they were doing. Dominic Cummings, Alistair Campbell. We need to find our people now, with maybe different moral compasses, who can resell the Tories to the public.
Well, there we go. OK, do you think that's a decent positive spin on that?
Well, I mean, you just said they should be honest, and then you picked two people who are capable of creating the most incredible lies ever known to man.
I will go down fighting for Alistair Campbell.
Unfortunately, quite a few people in the Middle East went down fighting for Alistair Campbell.
And also, you did highlight Dominic Cummings, the man who said he drove up the A1 to test his eyesight.
Well, you know,
we've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? That's not the point, because we're not asking anybody here to marry these people, have children with them. It's did they accomplish what they set out to do? And they did. So it's to find who can accomplish that, have that kind of success with the situation the way it is now.
You've managed to spin it as a watershed moment where from here we can build back better. I like this. Now, look, we've done quite a bit on the by-election, so we're going to move it on right now, and we're going to talk about next in the spin room. Police officers are claiming the popular Netflix show Top Boy glamorises drug dealing. Wow, OK, well, they must have put their top detectives on the case to work that one out. So Commander Paul Brogan, the National Police Chiefs Council, lead for County Lines, which surely he has much better stuff on than this, but it says series such as Top Boy glamorise what is effectively a life of crime. This is not being a gangster, it's about being exploited and being drawn into a life of crime, often that ends in misery. One thing is for sure, though, suggesting to impressionable youngsters that a life of a drug dealer is in any way fun or desirable is surely beyond the pale. Or is it, Diane Spencer?
Well, let's just say, for a start, we're always telling our children to go outside and get a job. Doesn't this do just that? I mean, OK, Timmy used to have a paper round, but now he can go door-to-door selling, what should we call it, pain relief. Also, you know, people are always saying that we should interact more with the different generations. An older person could ring up their drug dealer and say, you know, I've got terrible back pain, and they send round a young entrepreneur who sells them their drugs, and then they get back relief and they get to interact. Don't we surely also want our drug dealers to be more glamorous? I mean, surely, if we know that the drug dealers are glamorous and they're wearing sort of gold leotards, they've got golden cars and they've got lots of money raining all over them, we know who they are. Easier to catch, you see, because they stand out more. And surely we are in the middle of an obesity crisis with our younger people. If they're running across county lines, running away from the police, running everywhere, high as a kite, they're not going to gain weight. I thank you.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say that's actually done a remarkably good job there.
Jenny's crying again.
Crying again. That's the third time tonight, and we are not even half an hour in. So it's like one of my dates.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Oh, my word.
What do you think of this? I mean, hey, you know, you're an entrepreneur.
I am indeed, yeah. No, actually, you know what? It brings me back to 1996, funnily enough. I was just thinking of 1996 just as you said that, because Trainspotting, when it came out at the premiere, there was a police officer who came forward and said that it glamorises drug use. Ewan McGregor spoke on the red carpet that night. I remember distinctly. I remember watching it on a programme which was not on the channel that this is on. I can't really say what it is. But he came out and said, if a policeman's got the wrong end of the stick... Sorry, if the policeman is saying that it glamorises drugs, it is completely wrong. So that's just my take on it in terms of...
he had to crawl into a toilet.
Yeah, he did. There's nothing glamorous about most of Trainspotting.
Did you watch the follow-up? The follow-up was quite good.
Yeah, I did.
It's good. It's quite good, actually. Yeah.
I did, yeah.
No, I was voting Aidan.
Yeah. So you don't think that there's any positive spin there whatsoever? You know, fighting the obesity crisis, interaction for the elderly, getting people out and maybe teaching them to manage their accounts, possibly better at maths as well. You're not impressed? You don't buy it?
I'm afraid... so, does anybody here besides me have children?
No.
I have stepkids.
There you go.
OK.
Fair enough. Well, so in a way, I think you've lucked out there. All right, OK, so look, finally in the spin room, finally, is it all over for Bonfire Night? Now, we all love the tradition, don't we, of watching a few lame rockets flying into the skies, or we munch on an overpriced burger, or our dogs cower, shaking behind the sofa. But cash-strapped councils in places like Manchester, Nottingham and Glasgow, where, by the way, they've always been cash-strapped, but anyway, have decided that there is not room in their budget for any kind of Guy Fawkes Day celebration. Yeah, have a nice life, all you kids out there. Your schools are falling apart, you've got no chance of ever buying a property, and now you can't even go to a bog-standard fireworks display. Hey, modern Britain. What sort of mean-spirited and joyless curmudgeon could possibly think this is a good idea? Over to Keeping Up Appearances fan, Aidan McGee.
I thought this was fantastic news, I have to say, because we've had sectarian tensions, to say the least, in the last couple of weeks. I'm a Roman Catholic, and I'm pleased that we're not glamorising something that encourages burning Catholics at the stake, which is effectively what Bonfire Night does. Also, you've discussed the cost. We import this stuff from China most of the time. The cost is skyrocketing, pardon the pun, I did nick it from an article earlier on, and I think council should cut back on it. It's not much fun anyway. I mean, you know, let's face it, loads of people. I remember going to one in Gillingham about 30-odd years ago. It's 5,000 people there. It was too longer to get out than it did to get in. May as well chuck me on the fire yourself. But listen, my advice to councils: go smoke, go broke.
Go smoke, go broke. Yeah. I love it. Can I just say, I'd like to point out, because the Chinese invented gunpowder, Aidan, doesn't mean we import every single firework from China.
We do import quite a lot of them, actually. I've done some research. I thought about buying a bulk load and selling them, that's why.
You flipping out, fireworks dealer, arms dealer. I mean, what is there this man doesn't do, you know? I mean, what do you think? Has he put a positive spin on the fact that kids now will not have any joy on Bonfire Night, do you think?
I don't care about the kids. I care about me. I love fireworks. I love fireworks. I have travelled. I once went to Thailand just to see fireworks.
Wow.
Gosh.
And was that for, like, a New Year
thing? You very
Yeah.
rich. Yeah.
No, I'm a pauper now.
Strategically, Patrick, from a council's point of view, from a business perspective, charge a fiver to get in. That's probably the way to do it, but don't scare the pets.
Right, yeah, don't scare... Yeah, that's true. I suppose that's another thing he could have gone on there, you know, not scaring the pets. Bonfire night for dogs, it's like the Blitz, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I mean, it is for a lot of people. I mean, if you have that thing, misophonia, which is where you get sort of put off by noises, and every so often they sort of flash bang. Fireworks night, you know, if I've had one gin too many, I have to put on my noise-cancelling headphones because every single creak in my house, I can't bear it. I'm the opposite to you, Jenny. I will firmly encamp myself near the hot dog stand and I'll just eat my feelings throughout the whole display.
Well, just give up the gin.
Oh.
Fireworks are more wonderful than gin.
Right. OK, so now, before the break, let's just take a little deep breath and plunge into the terrifying world of social media to see which clips have gone viral this week. Let's start with a strange, ghostly apparition arriving in Israel, of all places.
I spent an hour and a half about 17 or 18 before.
Big hack. I mean, come on.
He had some tough questions for Israel then. When
Go
he
on.
went there. Yeah, well, first one was who am I? The second one was where am I?
Yeah, OK, exactly. No, I seriously, I think it's cruel. I think it's actually quite cruel on him, but anyway.
I do.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. No, it's not Halloween just yet. That was, of course, President Joe Biden issuing a rallying call for peace, believe it or not. And what else have we got? Yes, next up, the Rugby World Cup has been taking place in France very slowly. It's gone on for about a year, this, and it clearly inspired this nun to take action when environmental protesters arrived on the scene. It's got it all. It's got it all. Aidan, England are playing South Africa in the World Cup semi-final tomorrow night. Is there any way we could get this nun into the team?
Actually, again, looking at it strategically, if you look at England's defence throughout the tournament, it's actually been quite good. Kevin Sinfield's been coaching. He's a rugby league guy. I think he would get him in, he'd get her in the side. He'd find a way, because you're up against South Africa tomorrow. We're up against it. So, yeah, I'd put her straight in.
You'd go straight in with the nun.
I would, yeah.
And then technically God is on the side of that team.
Exactly.
Is that not a massive advantage?
Yeah, without doubt, yeah. Without
100%.
question. Of course it is.
I want to learn the haka.
You want to learn the haka?
The boys' haka, not the girls' haka.
Is there a difference?
Yes.
All right, if the shirts get ripped, we can say it's a holy shirt.
Hey, there we go. OK, all right, fair enough. Now, there's loads more still to come between now and 9 o'clock, including Words Fail Me, our revolutionary missing words quiz, which is certain to sweep the board of the BAFTAs. It's only a matter of time. But next, German's holiday in Hull. A clown terrorises a Scottish village, and a tortoise, renowned for their speed, of course, somehow escapes. It's almost time for Round Your Parts. The very best of local news will be coming to a town near you. Patrick Christys, GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to ordinary people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
There's only 3 people you can trust in life. Your doctor, your lawyer, and your nana.
I'm not sure.
So join me, Nana Aquia, at 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday, where we discuss the biggest topics of the weekend. Be ready for battle. Could you be quiet? What is this?
It's my new teeth.
It's your new teeth. I don't bite. Well, not without a good reason. Always honest, always fun. Every weekend at 3 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So Jubes and Kerr, we tackle the issues of the day with real, robust debate, both sides of the fence, battling it out with me in the middle with my forthright opinions and views. And often really interesting things happen because you start with a position and then by the end of the debate you find actually, I might not have thought about that one.
What we need in this country is 2 new political parties.
You should maybe think about doing a 2024 calendar. I'm Michelle Dewberry and I'm keeping you company right through until 7 o'clock this evening.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's watching.
Join us every night on GB News at 11 p.m. for Headliners, which is 3 top comedians going through the next day's news stories, which is exactly what you need, because when the establishment has gone crazy, you need some craziness to make sense of it.
Headliners. You don't have to bother reading the newspaper. We've got it covered for you. Every night at 11 p.m. and repeated every morning at 5 a.m. We won't send you to sleep like some of the other paper review shows out there.
So join us 11 p.m. every night on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Who is it? We're here for the show.
More energy this time!
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie, second best. You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with you three.
Oh! No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sunday, the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
Welcome back. You're watching or listening to me, Patrick Christys, on GB News. Now, it's just gone 8:36, I think. Still to come tonight, my panel will test their wits on our brilliant missing words quiz, and we asked on Twitter if you viewers or listeners would submit a vote of no confidence in Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. We will reveal the results a little bit later on. But first, it's time that we delved round your parts. Now, where did you go on holiday this year? Was it Magaluf, Las Vegas, Tenerife, Hull? You may not think that Hull sounds like a summer holiday destination, but that is not the view of German tourist Rainer Schmidt, who has been visiting the northern town for more than 30 years. Rainer said, when I first came to... I won't do the accent. When I first came to Hull in July 1991, I had never stayed in a real British hotel before. I found it interesting and was impressed by the quiet area and the nice room, but I really fell in love with the English breakfast. Aidan McGee, you're not a man to splash out, and you love an English breakfast. So, off to Hull for your holiday, do you think?
You know what? In July 1991... looking at it strategically, Hull was in a quite bad place. But I went there for the first time in 1996, funnily enough, and I had a great night out there. I went to this club called LA's and Number 4's, and I was very successful on the night. I must admit, I won't get into too much
detail. What does that mean,
detail.
Aidan?
Well, just had a nice time. It was good fun, you know. But no, but listen, I've been there a few more times since. You know, they've upgraded the football ground. The football club's been in the Premier League. It's been the European City of Culture in about 2008, I think it was, maybe 2012. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for it. I really do. They used to say that Hull wasn't the end of the world, but you can see it from there. I don't think that's the case anymore.
No, I love Hull. I love the Hull. I love the people of Hull. Have you been to Hull?
I live on a boat, so I don't go on holiday.
Your life?
I live on a holiday. Every day is a holiday.
Who are you? You go to Thailand for the fireworks? The things you say in the break are mental. And no, you live on a boat, like a kind of water traveller.
I live on a boat.
Well, OK. You been to Hull?
Can't remember. Usually turn up to places when it's dark, being a comedian, and sort of turn up to one place, do the funnies and leave.
You weren't there in 1996, were you?
No, I don't believe... It does look eerily familiar.
He's got a habit of happening to him on the show, that. Next, we're off to Scotland, where a creepy and unsettling character has been spotted walking the streets. But we're not here to talk about Nicola Sturgeon tonight. No, instead, let's focus on the man dressed as Pennywise, the clown from Stephen King. But again, we're not here to talk about Nicola Sturgeon tonight, no. It's been terrifying the residents of Ayrshire. So, calling themselves the Skelmily Clown, the creepy figure has even been posting bizarre messages to the media, daring the police to try and catch him. Diane, have you come across plenty of clowns in your time? Any of them as scary as this one?
Oh, gosh, no, not at all. I mean, this guy is blatantly a fringe show that's gone wrong. I sort of see this once every year in Edinburgh. What is quite interesting, and I think that many of your viewers will enjoy this, he's signed off one of his messages with the name Cole, C-O-L-E, Deimos, D-E-I-M-O-S. Now, clearly that's some kind of anagram. It's like the clue. That's the clue to sort of catch him. So he's put it out there. So any of you sort of budding Poirot's, Miss Marples out there, get onto that, because...
Oh, so you've not solved it?
I've not solved it. I mean, I've come up with Cold Summy. No, I mean, I'm really...
Amos the Clown, maybe?
No, but do you see what I mean? I think that's the clue.
That's the clue.
Yeah.
And he clearly wants to be caught, but, I mean, how bored do you have to be?
Very. Very. Well, he's not got a girlfriend, has he? Let's be honest.
I mean, but Halloween is coming up, or does he do this all year round?
Oh, yeah, possibly. Have you ever...
You don't have clowns on Halloween, though, do you?
Bit cliche.
Yeah.
No, you have Pennywise, I suppose. What would you do if you bumped into that?
I would cry and run away because I don't like clowns.
No.
They scare me a bit, actually, I must admit.
Yeah.
Really?
You're scared
There's
of
nothing
clowns.
quite like, you know, when you see clowns in a joyous sense, like at a football match, for example, but then their team loses the game. There's nothing quite like misery within a clown. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I must be quite jaded.
Yeah.
I must be quite jaded because if I saw somebody dressed like that, I would think a swear word that you can't repeat on television. I just think, oh.
Yeah.
You know, I just roll my eyes. I'd just be like, do you know what, mate? I deal every day with narcissistic lunatics like your dear self, and whatever you're screaming...
I'm right here, by the way.
It's a bit of surface.
Right here. Yeah. I invite you onto my show, right? And you come here and say... Anyway, right, next, some heartwarming news from Lowestoft in Suffolk, where Fred the tortoise has been rescued after a week-long search which gripped the local community. Given tortoises move about as fast as Aidan McGee when it's his round down the pub, you might be wondering how Fred escaped. But it turned out that he was stolen from a garden before turning up in a nearby alleyway, making his own way home and due to arrive in 2036 sometime. Jenny, Trent Hughes, why are people stealing tortoises? I mean, is this just some kind of black market trade that's passed me by?
Because they're very wise. I met a girl recently, and she's young and beautiful and a social media expert, and she's got a pet tortoise. And she shows photographs of him, and he goes on holiday with the family, and I don't get it.
No, I'll be honest with you, Jenny, I don't either.
Yeah, but it's a thing that we somehow do not understand, but it's a thing now.
So you think that, and you're being genuine now, do you?
Yeah,
you think that just want to make sure we're clear about this. So you think there's some kind of deep spiritual connection with tortoises?
I don't know. We actually ended up in a conversation about what would happen if she moved, or if her mother died, because she and her mother share the tortoise, and it's like, should they put it in the will? Because they live forever.
You do have
to... They live
well,
forever is the other problem. So they live for like 100 years.
Yeah.
And she's not going to live for 100 years, and her mother certainly isn't going to live for 100 years.
Oh, you're being a little bit pessimistic there, mate.
Well,
I mean,
you know.
maybe she'll give up sugar.
Well,
exactly.
Or
exactly. You do have to write them into your will, though, don't you?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, exactly. You normally like slow-moving creatures called Shelley, don't you?
Not for a while, no. I've got two links to this story. My parents ran care homes back in the 90s, and one of the residents had a tortoise called Cecil in the back garden, who was rumoured to be 82. And second link to the story is that my landlady in Norwich in 2001 lived in Lowestoft, which was 38 miles from Norwich. So any time we kicked off, it would be about 2 days till she got to rescue us.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Just some random stuff there. Are you a massive fan of the tortoise? The idea that they would be nicked, I think. I didn't realise they were particularly valuable.
Well, now that I've heard about Jenny's story, I wonder whether there are people who can tortoise whisper, where they the tortoise has absorbed all of the information over the years, and then they take the tortoise and they go, tell me your secrets.
Yeah.
And, you know, or did the tortoise become like some kind of Yoda thing? Because you know how when you watch the Star Wars films, not the proper ones, but the later ones, and Yoda's like hobbling around on his stick, and then suddenly he becomes all ninja-y. Did the tortoise do something like that?
Have we put something in the tea here? Is it just me this? Or is everyone absolutely off their nut? Right.
Bonkers.
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 All right, after the break, it's the Missing Words quiz that has got the critics talking. Yeah, it certainly has. Yeah, I tell you, the critics are shouting, don't they? What they are saying is, who on earth commissioned this? Words fail me. Next, I'm Patrick Christys. This is GB News, and we are Britain's mental news channel.
Who is it? We're here for the show.
More energy this time!
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie, second best. You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these three.
Ah!
No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour, Sunday the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you. Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality. On GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Patrick Christys, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6. We tackle the day's news agenda like you've never seen before. It's high tempo, high octane, the most controversial topics and the best guests. You will not be able to take your eyes and ears off it. I'm not afraid to ask the questions that you really want answered. 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now then, Lee Anderson here. Join me on GB News on my show, The Real World, every Friday at 7 p.m.
I'm not eating bloody cat. Are you
Delicious.
mental?
Open your mouth. OK, here comes a train.
Reminds me of the scene in Singing in the Rain.
Adam, is that a good one?
Whoa!
Join me at 7 on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my two comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News, unlike other broadcasters, isn't obsessed with the London-Westminster bubble. We think there's a nation beyond the M25, and that's why we talk about the issues that matter across the land. Join me on State of the Nation, 8 to 9 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, on GB News. Daisy's listening, and you should too.
I think the most exciting bit for me is talking to ordinary people.
People who I think are ignored often by the major news channels. We're going to give news they want to hear. There's a voice there that needs to be heard. I think there's a chance here for a diversity of opinion to be expressed, which you don't find elsewhere. It's really exciting.
We don't hold back. We're free to say how decisions that are taken here
affect us all around the country. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
On Mark Dolan tonight in My Big Opinion, following the Tories' double by-election loss, a Labour government is coming. Be careful what you wish for. In My Take at 10, with the world on the brink of war, we need a proper leader in the White House. Joe Biden must be impeached on the grounds of ill health. My Mark Meets guest is TV and radio legend Pat Sharp. Plus, Mike Parry, Edwina Curry, tomorrow's papers and my top pundits. We're live from 9.
Welcome back. You're watching or listening to Patrick Christys right here on GB News. It's 8:49 to be very precise. Let's quickly get some emails, shall we? Let's see what you wonderful viewers have been saying tonight. Lee says, does Patrick remember 50-year-old Speedy the Tortoise? Speedy was on his morning show. Yes, when GB News first started, Speedy heard that there was going to be a tortoise on, so he wants to be on too. Yes, I remember that. Kathleen says, why is Patrick calling Rishi Sunak a posh billionaire? He's very astute, good man, just maybe not a personality like Boris. Yeah, OK, fine, fair enough.
And also, he's only a millionaire. It's his wife that's the billionaire.
It's his wife, that. So I was...
Barry into it, though, don't you?
Well, he did.
Yeah, but she holds the purse.
Yeah, she's gutted, by the way, I reckon. I honestly reckon, she could be anywhere in the world right now, do what she wants. He's gone and got himself a silly job, and she's got to live in a flat.
His money doesn't matter. I'm tired of everybody talking about his money. It doesn't matter.
No, I don't think it does matter. I'm just saying it's an interesting observation. I bet she's gutted. Why is she? Since he's become prime minister, she's had to pay more tax. Everything she does is under the microscope. She's living in a pokey little flat.
And she has to smile all the time.
She's got to smile all the time.
That
She's got
would
to deal
be
with
the
people like
biggest
us.
part.
Anyway, let's have a look at tonight's results, shall we, on Twitter. Thank you very much. We asked you, would you sign a letter of no confidence in Rishi Sunak? Let's see what you said. 73% of you said yes. Well, 26% of you said no. Oh, well, there we go. Now, it's time for our fun-packed Friday night quiz. Words fail me. We present our panel with a headline from the week, blur out one or two of the words, and the panel have to guess what they are. This is revolutionary stuff, this quiz, I'm telling you right now. But before the GB News creatives actually collect their bonuses, we might as well run through some headlines. So let's take a look. This one from LBC. J.K. Rowling would blank if it becomes a hate crime to call someone by wrong pronouns. J.K. Rowling would blank if it becomes a hate crime to call someone by the wrong pronouns. Aidan.
J.K. Rowling would... something to do with tortoise, isn't it?
OK.
Definitely something to do with tortoise. Let me have a think about it.
Would nick a tortoise?
Yeah,
right,
possibly.
OK.
An 82-year-old one, yeah.
Yeah, yourself?
Would cast a spell. She's a wizard.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling would curse the world if it becomes a hate crime to call someone by the wrong pronouns.
OK, so we've got so far J.K. Rowling would nick a tortoise if it becomes a hate crime, or J.K. Rowling would curse the world if it becomes a hate crime. Go on.
Send a howler.
Send a howler.
Yeah.
OK.
Is that a firework?
No, the howler were those things that in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah, I've only seen the first one.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right, shall we reveal the answer? J.K. Rowling would happily do 2 years in jail if it becomes a hate crime to call someone by the wrong pronoun.
She'd be the leader of a gang in seconds.
She would.
Oh, they're serious. Right, OK, now we get it.
Well, the headlines are serious. Anyway, OK, on to our next headline from Sky News. This was actually... it's been quite a big story, so people with their finger on the pulse might have a chance of getting this. Aidan McGee, not so much. So, blank... hanging from London's Millennium Bridge as part of quirky tradition. That's blank hanging from London's Millennium Bridge as part of a quirky tradition. Right, you know it, so I'm not going to tell you. Go on, what?
David Copperfield.
David Copperfield.
Is it not? Is that right? Is that right?
It should be.
Go on.
No, he did it.
David Copperfield.
Is that true?
I think you know, don't you?
No.
Oh, why did you say
I
yes?
have a good guess. Because my son went to a school called City of London.
Yeah.
And part of the whole schmutz with going there is that you get to walk sheep across the bridge.
Yeah.
And so you would be able to have one of those crooks, you know, whatever.
Crook?
The long piece of stick.
Yes.
That you use to shove sheep.
OK, so you're going a shepherd's stick.
Shepherd's crook.
So you've gone David Copperfield.
Shepherd's crook.
A shepherd's crook. You've got to come up with something.
All right, then, busload of orphans.
A busload of orphans.
Lordy.
Well, I tell you what, you know,
Okay.
that is something. Shall we reveal the answer? Busload of orphans.
No, but this is why. This is what this is about.
Yeah.
The bale of straw.
It's a bale of straw
That's
hanging
from
London's Millennium Bridge as part of
We all
the
got it.
to feed the sheep.
Well, what it is, what I think is, I do actually know it. It is because when there's maintenance being done on a bridge, it was supposed to warn ships. But you are right, they do also shepherd sheep.
We all got it
crossing.
wrong.
You did all get
I'm
it
not
wrong.
completely wrong.
Some more wrong than others. Now for our final headline: boy with blank confronted by armed police. That's boy with blank confronted by armed police.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Dare I ask?
Liberal beliefs.
Yeah, good. And about time too. Aidan.
Imported fireworks from China.
Imported fireworks from
Very
China.
expensive, by the way.
Yeah, OK. And yourself, you obviously know the answer, don't you?
It was a pink water pistol.
A water pistol, a fake gun, yeah? So, OK, shall we reveal it? Boy with water pistol. Well done. Confronted by armed police. Brilliant. All right, well, look, well done. That is very nearly it from us. Thank you very, very much, I must say, to the wonderful and quite unique as well, Jenny Trent Hughes.
I would say you're either unique or you're not. There's no
Yeah,
degree
all
of
right,
unique.
mate. I knew as soon as I said it. Diane Spencer, Aidan McGee, and all of you wonderful viewers. The brilliant Mark Dolan is next. Mark, what do you got coming up?
Hey, Patrick, lovely job. Listen, in the big question, we'll be asking, do Israel have a case to answer for the conflict in the Middle East? In my big opinion, a Labour government is coming. Be careful what you wish for. And in my take at 10, Joe Biden must stand down on the grounds of health. The guy should not be the leader of the free world. It's too dangerous. Busy show coming up. Here's the weather.
Good evening, I'm Alex Deakin and this is your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. Storm Babette continues to cause problems. Further heavy rain is expected to cause more flooding and we do have a red weather warning in place from midnight again for parts of eastern Scotland, but there are other weather warnings in place through the night. The weather's been causing problems across England and Wales through the day. The rain's slowly easing here, but it will stay very soggy in most locations through into the early hours. Something a bit drier across the southeast where temperatures hold up up at 11 or 12. Elsewhere will be mostly down into single figures. But we do have to focus in on the rain because it's returning tonight over eastern Scotland and then it lasts for most of the day. It's already caused significant problems, and this further rain falling during tomorrow, another 100 millimetres possibly, is expected to cause more widespread disruption and, of course, further flooding. That stiff wind will just continue to feed in the moisture here. A drier day across northeast England tomorrow and for parts of Wales as well. There will still be some heavy showers, though, in the southeast and some gusty winds blowing here too. Temperatures mostly getting up into the low to maybe mid-teens. Sunday offers some respite. There will be still some rain across Scotland, but it should tend to ease and it won't be as heavy or as persistent. A few scattered showers elsewhere, but for many Sundays, a fine-looking day, dry and bright with some sunny spells. The winds will be lighter as well, and it'll probably just feel a little bit warmer. Please see the Met Office website for the latest warnings.
Who is it? We're here for the show.
More energy this time!
Welcome to the Dinosaur Hour. I was married to a therapist.
And you survived?
I thought we were getting Hugh Laurie.
Second best.
You interviewed Saddam Hussein. What's that like?
I was terrified. I'm playing strip poker with these three.
Ah!
No, thank you.
My CDs need to be put in alphabetical order.
Are you going to be problematic again?
The Dinosaur Hour. Sunday, the 29th of October at 9 on GB News.
What you get for breakfast is something that, if we do our jobs right, you will wake up to news that you didn't know the night before.
It's a conversation. It's not just me and Eamon.
We want to get to know you, and we want you to get to know us.
From 6, it's Breakfast with Eamon and Isabel.
Monday to Thursdays on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
People in Britain, they love free speech, but they also love fair play.
I don't care if I'm speaking somebody from a trade union, from the Labour Party, somebody from the SNP. And I think the viewers like to see that actually we can challenge one another, but in a positive way.
We think we ask the questions that people want to ask, and often we ask the questions that we wanted to ask in Parliament but never got the chance to ask.
So join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. till noon on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Nightmare commute. Kick it up a gear with me, Patrick Christys, at drive time, 3 till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday on GB News Radio. You can listen online and on DAB+, on the smart speaker app and on the GB News app. And if you've got an Alexa, all you have to say is, Alexa, play GB News. We're also on TuneIn and the Radio Player apps. From the school run to rush hour, get revved up with me, Patrick Christys, on GB News and GB News Radio.
Tired of the usual focus-tested, pre-prepared Westminster runaround? Well, so am I.
So you want higher taxes?
Is your department to blame for this? Are you rethinking this policy? Every Sunday at 9:30, I'll be sitting down with those in power to get the truth about the issues affecting you. Let's be honest, we've known about the cost pressures of this project for years, not months. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show with personality on GB News.